What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Plays here, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of the Keep Trade or Cut series, which includes Mitch, Frank, and so much more. With the NBA offseason beginning to ramp up, I'm going to try to get a lot more videos out on the NBA draft because I've been kind of lacking recently, while also mixing in some free agency videos, trade possibilities, any sort of big Knicks news, and so much more. A couple days ago, the Rookie of the Year voting came out, and boy oh boy was it disrespectful. Here are the voting results on the screen here, and as you guys can see, RJ was 8th behind Eric Pascal, Terrence Davis, and Kobe White. Eric Pascal is no way a better player than RJ, and his stats are slightly worse too. Terrence Davis played 16 minutes a game and averaged 7 points, yet somehow he's better than RJ. And Kobe White shot worse than RJ from the field, had much worse stats, and didn't play any defense, yet somehow he was given more votes than RJ. These awards are a joke, and if this is any indication for how the all-rookie teams are going to play out, then it's just sad. Then again, these awards are voted on by the media, and we all know how much the media loves the New York Knicks. Furthermore, even though most of us can come to the conclusion that DSJ should be traded, an old report came out saying that Tom Thibodeau loved DSJ coming out of college. This is a very good sign for DSJ's future with the Knicks, and it's definitely a dynamic to keep your eye on heading into the offseason. However, there are still a lot of moves to be made with this roster, so let's head right into part 2 of Keep Trade or Cut for the New York Knicks roster. Frank Ntilikina, trade. Before the Frank army comes after me, I love the dude with all my heart, but it may be time to move on from him. At some point, we have to be completely honest with ourselves and realize how much Frank has actually improved in his first 3 seasons. On the floor, he has improved as a defender and he's been a bit more aggressive on the offensive end, but other than this, Frank has not developed much under the Knicks organization. This past season, he averaged 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists per game on 39% from the field and 32% from 3. These stats are nearly identical to his rookie and sophomore year stats, and it's becoming more and more clear that he is not the Knicks' future starting point guard. The reason Frank is a player that should be traded though is because he actually has some pretty good value on the market to contenders. With Luka, James Harden, and Damian Lillard absolutely dominating the bubble, teams are starting to realize that they need a defensive stopper to stop these incredible guards. There are very few players who can guard these superstars at an elite level, but Frank is one of them. Great offensive teams that can afford to add a defensive stopper on the floor like the Warriors, Jazz, Suns, and a couple other teams could really use a player like Frank Ntilikina on a great contract. Frank's value on the market is probably about a mid to late first round pick, and this allows the Knicks to get something for Ntilikina before he becomes a restricted free agent at the end of the season. However, I don't think this means Frank should be put on the trade block and the Knicks should trade him at all costs, because it really wouldn't be a terrible idea to bring him back if the Knicks don't end up taking a point guard in the draft. Now, this possibility is super low, so do what you want with it. I really do love Frank though, but sometimes we just gotta move on. Mitchell Robinson, keep. But hear me out. Now, I know a lot of you guys may be upset with me already, and this is definitely not going to help. Mitch should be kept, but I would not put him in the same level of untouchable as RJ. This season, once again, Mitch was top 20 in PER, beating out top centers like Rudy Gobert and top guards like Bradley Beal and Chris Middleton. He averaged 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 23 minutes per game. He surprisingly improved a lot last year stats-wise, even though the season was a complete disaster when it came to coaching and minutes distribution. Mitch is primed to break out this season if he can stay out of foul trouble, which is why he should be kept at all costs this offseason. Mitch has been working very hard this offseason on his handles and three-point shot, and if he can stretch the floor and take opposing centers off the dribble, he becomes a top center in this league. The reason why Mitch should not be untouchable completely in the future though is because the NBA is becoming more and more of a guard-driven league, and the traditional centers are becoming pretty extinct. Like, if you look at the playoffs, the only traditional center really that gets significant minutes is Bam Adebayo, and he's still on his rookie deal, and the Heat aren't even too sure if they want to extend him next offseason. The Knicks are probably a good 2 to 3 years away from competing if we play our cards right, and by that time, if the Knicks keep Mitch, he would be on a relatively large contract. If Mitch's game is still all in the paint, it may be worth getting rid of him for a much cheaper alternative center who can do a very similar job. For this reason, down the road, the Knicks are going to have to make a tough decision, and if the front office thinks Mitch can't develop an outside game, it may be better to get rid of him after he breaks out this year. Personally, I do not want to see Mitch get traded this season, and I think it would be kind of idiotic, but there does seem to be a slight possibility that the new regime may trade him. Bobby Portis, cut. Like most people on here who are given a cut, if there is some way that the Knicks can trade them to get any sort of assets in return, they should make that trade instantly. However, in this situation, there is absolutely no team that wants Bobby Portis' $16 million contract. This past season, Bobby didn't do anything special and averaged 10 points and 5 rebounds on 35% from 3-point range. $16 million a year is a lot of money. If Maurice Harkless' $11 million contract got the Clippers a first-round pick, the Knicks could easily absorb a bad contract for a first-round pick by declining Bobby Portis' $16 million per year team option. A couple contracts to keep your eye on is Gary Harris's $20 million a year contract with the Nuggets and Gorgui Dieng's $17 million a year contract with the Grizzlies. Ignas Brazdeikis, keep. This may be the biggest no-brainer in the video because Ignas has been incredible in what we have seen of him so far. In the Summer League, he kind of had his coming out party against the Suns where he had 30 points and absolutely dominated down the stretch, and he has been on fire ever since. Ignas spent the majority of the season in the G League and averaged 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists on about 50% from the field and 35% from 3. Ignas has a great all-around game, but one big positive about his game is the energy he brings to the floor. In the Summer League and at Michigan, he was very confident and a bit flashy, which is perfect for the Knicks. Next season, I know the Garden will have a lot of fun with this kid, and hopefully he can become a big piece moving forward. Damyean Dotson, keep. Dotson is currently a free agent, but it would be a crime if the Knicks let him walk. He fits every single criteria of the players the Knicks should be signing in free agency, as he is young and can shoot threes lights out. This season he shot 35% from 3-point range, and that doesn't even do justice to how good of a 3-point shooter he really is. Dotson won't be asking for too much in free agency, so the Knicks could probably get him on a 2-year, $6 to $8 million contract. Reggie Bullock, trade. Reggie is a 29-year-old shooter on a $4 million a year contract with only $1 million of those dollars guaranteed this season. He averaged 8 points on 33% from 3 this past season, but he was hurt for the majority of the season with a foot injury. I wouldn't worry too much about the 33% from 3 though, because he only played in about 25-26 games last season, and in his career he averages 38.5% from 3-point range. Coming into this season, the Knicks need shooters surrounding RJ, but at the same time Reggie holds a good amount of value to other teams. There is no wrong decision here for the Knicks, but if you don't trade him, you have a veteran who can shoot on a nice contract that could be flipped at the trade deadline. But if you do trade him, you can probably get a pretty good second-round pick for him. Maurice Harkless, cut. Maurice Harkless' contract is up, so it's not really a cut, rather the Knicks should let him walk in free agency. Mo was a relatively average player for the Knicks, and with the Knicks having 3 picks in this draft who should all be seeing some sort of minutes this season, it's just not worth having Mo on the roster taking away minutes from Kevin, Ignas, and whoever we draft. Kenny Wooten, keep. During the Summer League, Kenny didn't really know his role on the offensive side of the ball, but in the G League, he was able to figure out his offensive game. He averaged 8.6 rebounds and most importantly, 3.6 blocks in 25 minutes per game. Kenny was an absolute monster on the defensive side of the ball, as he is quick enough to guard guards on the perimeter while still posing as a huge shot blocker on the interior. This season we will hopefully be able to see a bit more of what Kenny has in store, and it's going to be really fun to watch. Tell me what you guys thought about this list of the Knicks players who should be kept, traded, or cut. I know a lot of you guys may be upset with what was given to Frank and Mitch, but at the end of the day, we need to think about the longevity and how many chances are we going to give someone without them showing too much improvement. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Now I'm out, and peace!